This is the Pulse. Let's begin from Parliament, where earlier the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey, was speaking and explaining to the House what agreement went into the Gitmo 2 who are in the country right now. Our man, Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who's been monitoring event from Parliament, joins on the line. Good afternoon, Gakpo. What explanations has the Foreign Minister been giving to Parliament?
She's mainly been responding to questions about the Gitmo 2 detainees that were brought into the country. And the MP for North Tongue, Samuel Okujesu-Ablakwa, was asking a question having to do with the effort that government had made since the Supreme Court directed that an agreement on their stay be brought into the country or they be returned. He's been indicating that as far as he's concerned, there was no formally written agreement. There was a memorandum of understanding and also a note verbal. These are the documents that she has packaged and brought to Parliament, which she did yesterday, and as that Parliament ratifies that particular agreement. There were questions about whether we are well within the time when it comes to the 3-month duration that the Supreme Court said this should be done, otherwise they be returned. This is also something that indicates this is being done. There were further questions from the minority, which the Speaker didn't allow to stand, as to whether the NPP government position on the issue has shifted since they, moved on from the opposition, being an opposition party into government. But this is not something that they were, the minister was allowed to respond to because it wasn't part of the questions that he was supposed to come and answer. And then the final bit has to do with going forward, what the plan is and whether an assessment has been done on the people in question in terms of the kind of security threats they pose to the nation. This was also a question that the Speaker did not allow, but that session ended some minutes ago.
So what's the conclusion? Are this Gitmo 2 going to continue to stay in Ghana?
That's the decision that the Foreign Minister indicates she's leaving in the hands of Parliament, for the documents and the agreement that she has brought to the House. She says that this is not something that is exactly within their purview. The agreement that has been brought, if Parliament ratifies it, then they will stay. Otherwise, then the opposite may be what the way forward would look like. But she indicates that now that the agreement is before Parliament for ratification, all of that has been left in the hands of the legislative organ of government.
There are a lot of deliberations going on in Parliament. Anyone we need to know?
A while ago, there was a statement on the floor of the House itself by the MP for the MP for Asawase, that's Muntaka Mubarak, who is the minority chief whip. He raised concerns about the recent raids that is seen in some of the residences of key figures within the opposition party who are members of Parliament, specifically Dr. Kwabena Donkor, the MP for Pru, as well as Dr. Dominic Ayeni, the MP for Bolgasanga Central, and then the final one that we've seen over the duration, that former Deputy Prime Minister John Jinapor. He was drawing the Speaker's attention to the fact that this constitutes some level of harassment. He indicates that per the standing orders of Parliament, any such someone into the police headquarters should be routed through the office of the Speaker. And so before the police can go ahead and do any such thing, the Speaker should be in the known, but that hasn't happened. So he was asking that the Speaker gives a firm directive on that and insists that if the police would want to do anything or investigate any MP, then the office of the Speaker should be duly notified. His request was backed by the Majority Leader, Sechi Mensah Bonsu, who quoted portions of the Constitution and the standing orders of Parliament to make that particular point. Eventually, the Speaker gave the directive that this is something that he's going to look into. He would meet with officials within the police administration to settle it once and for all. But he was very emphatic that MPs deserve the free way to be able to do their job without any threat of arrest when they are either going to or returning from Parliament. And Parliament is going to really guard that. When you look at the third people in question, Dr. Dominic Ayeni and also Mr. John Jinapor, from the indication that they gave, which is also a letter that was read on the floor by the minority chief whip Muntaka Mubarak, they were supposed to appear before Parliament next week, Monday at 1 o'clock. But the majority leader asked that the Speaker direct that would not be possible because on Monday they would be here in Parliament as the Finance Minister presents the midterm budget review. And the Speaker indicated that the necessary steps will be taken at the level of leadership to ensure that MPs are not harassed in that manner when they have business in Parliament to do.
We know that the MP for Adansiasoka, Katie Hammond, had indicated his decision of getting Parliament to rescind the Mary deal. Has anything of that nature happened in Parliament?
Again, it's something that's been noted on the outline of business that should be taken today, but it's not come up yet. The House is still sitting. A while ago, currently there's a statement being delivered by the MP for Chefo Hemant and Jabright Rekuprobe on productivity and the effect of the watching of telenovelas on that. But as we speak, the issue of the unmarried deal in terms of it being rescinded has not come up on the floor at all, and we are not too sure yet whether that will happen.
But have you been able to speak with the people who are involved? I know we've had some conversation with Dr. Kwabena Donko, but the latest, who is John Jinapo, has he responded, or how does he feel about all of this?
Well, I mean, speaking to him, he is worried that with the search that happened in his house earlier today, which involved armed policemen, it resulted in a situation of his family, particularly his children, being frightened. And so for him, this is a source of worry. But he goes on to indicate that the investigation that's ongoing into alleged financial loss to the state as a result of the unmarried deal is something that he thinks that once the investigation is done, he will be cleared. He makes the point that he is not exactly against investigations, but he thinks they should be done right. But he's been insisting that as far as himself and his colleagues are concerned, well, this deal was done with a very clean heart. There was no issue of corruption or anything of that sort in relation to it. And so any investigation would exonerate them. But they think that their privileges to a certain extent as members of Parliament are being breached. Mr. Jinapo raises that concern, and he is looking forward to the leadership of the House helping prevent any such further breach of his privileges as a member of Parliament.
To Joseph Opoku Gakpo, will be getting back to you for more in Parliament. We're still sticking with Parliament because the Special Prosecutor's Bill is to enable the government to create a Special Prosecutor's Office that will deal with various corruption issues in government. It was one of the major proposals made by President Akufo-Addo as part of its plans to deal with corruption in government. Currently, government has withdrawn the controversial Special Prosecutor's Bill from Parliament. This comes after the minority in Parliament challenged the procedure in which the bill was laid, claiming it was unconstitutional. The former Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayini, has however raised questions over certain aspects of that bill. He was speaking on the upfront with Raymond Akwalesie.
As far as the minority is concerned, we are in full support of the bill, to set up the office of the Special Prosecutor.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am. And
when did the minority take this resolve?
I always go back to the statement that Honorable Haruna Idrisu made when the bill was laid for the first time, or let me put it this way, when the bill was wrongfully laid for the first time. In supporting the motion for the laying of the bill, he made it categorically clear that we in the minority were at idem with the government and the majority in the resolve to fight corruption, but that would make sure that we do it in accordance with the law and constitution of this country. And he was speaking for the minority NDC. Now, go back to our 2016 election manifesto. And our resolve to fight corruption was stated there in black and white, except that, of course, our proposal for dealing with the perception of the lack of independence of the Attorney General was different. We were not going to set up an office of Special Prosecutor and pretend that within the context of Article 88 of the Constitution, it is possible to have someone exercise the prosecutorial authority of the Attorney General without at the same time accounting to the person who is vested with that constitutional mandate. We think that, it is not possible to, set up an independent office within the context of Article 88. What we say is that you can let the Attorney General delegate that power and provide sufficient guarantees against interference, okay? Just enough for the person to be able to operate without having to look over the shoulder about what the Attorney General is doing. but that person need to account to the Attorney General for the exercise of the prosecutorial power of that high office. So for us, it's important that when we are looking at the bill, we'll also look at it within the context of the Constitution. That context is very, very important. It is not for nothing that the drafters of the Constitution vested the entire power to prosecute any crime in this country in the Attorney General of the Republic. You can set up the office, but you have to do it right. Okay, that is the NPP's government's method that they have proposed to fight corruption. The people of this country gave them the mandate, at least for 4 years, to manage the public affairs of this country. So for us, it will be anathema, to try to say that the government should not do what it has proposed to do. But it has to do it right. If we did wrong...
How do you reconcile both?
There's no contradiction at all.
Okay.
In fact, it's a seeming contradiction or an oxymoron. All right?
I see.
If we did something wrong whilst in public office, then we didn't deserve to be in office. And so we should be held to account for whatever we did that was wrong. The people of Ghana gave us the mandate to rule, and rule in a manner that is welfare enhancing, in accordance with the dictates of our Constitution and in accordance with the dictates of our laws. Okay? If you look at Article 1 of the Constitution, it says that the powers of government must be exercised in the name of
the people
and for the welfare of the people of the country.
Okay.
So if we did anything that was welfare reducing, but that also at the same time is criminal, okay, we are prepared to face the law.